Hello, my name is M.E. Means, and today we're going to be reading Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise. So Horton stopped splashing. He looked towards the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp as some tiny person was calling for help. I'll help you, said Horton. But who are you? Where? He looked and looked. He could see nothing there but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air. I say, murmured Horton, I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that was able to yell. So you know what I think? Why I think there must be someone on the top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of very small size. Too small to be seen by the elephant's eyes. Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that might blow into the pool. He has nowhere to steer. I'll just have to save him because after all, a person is a person, no matter how small. So gently, using the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air. He lifted the speck of dust and carried it over and placed it down, safe on a very small clover. Hummed a voice. Tuss was a sour kangaroo, and you kangaroo in her pouch said, too. Why the smack is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that, why there's never been. Believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely, my ears are quite clean and I can hear him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quietly like there's two, even three, even four, quite likely. A family for all we know, a family with children just starting to grow. So please, said Horton, do me a favor, do not disturb them. Just let them be. I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me too. You're as big as a blamed fool. Kangaroo plunged in the cool of the pool. What terrible splashing, the elephant frowned. I can't let my very small person get drowned. I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they. So he plucked the clover and hustled away. Through the high jungle treetops, the news spread quickly. He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with the speck on that flower. And Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Should I put the speck down? Horton thought with alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't. After all, a person's a person, no matter how small. Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ear near it. My friend, came the voice. You're a very fine friend. You helped us all folks on this dust speck no end. You say that our houses are slings and floors. You say there are churches and grocery stores. You mean, Horton gasped, you have buildings there too? Oh yes, piped the voice, we most certainly do. I know, called the voice. I'm too small to be seen by the mayor of the town is friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would be terribly small, but to us who aren't that big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Whos are thankful and grateful for you. And Horton called back to the mayor of town, you're safe now, don't worry, I won't let you down. But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The wicked Sham brothers came shouting, what rot, this elephant talking to Whos who are not? There aren't any Whos, and they don't have a mayor, and we are going to stop this nonsense. So there. They snatched Horton's clover, they carried it off to the black-bottomed eagle named Vlad Vitkov, a mighty strong eagle, a very swift wing. And they said, "Will you kindly get rid of this thing?" And before the poor elephant could speak, the eagle flew off with the flower in his beak. After that late afternoon and far into the night, that black-bottomed bird flapped his wings into fast flight, while Horton chased after. With groans over stones that shattered his toenails and battered his bones, he begged, "Please don't harm all my little folk, who have as much right to live as his bigger folk do." But far and far beyond him, the eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder quite called, "Quit your yapping. I fly through the night. I'm a bird. I don't mind it. I could hide this tomorrow and you'll never find it." And at 6:56 that next morning, he did that. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He let the small clover drop somewhere in that great patch of clovers 100 miles wide. "Find that," sneered the beard, "but I think you will fail." He limped his foot and bottom town. "I'll find it," Horton cried, "or I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on that small peck of dust." And clover by clover with care, he picked up and searched them, and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover, he found that the one that he sought was not far around. And by noon, poor Horton, more dead than alive, had picked and searched, and piled up 9,005. Then on throughout the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last, on the 3rd millionth hour. "My friends," cried the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?" From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We've really got trouble, much more than to share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go, and we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, our bashed. So Horton, please," plead the voice of the mayor, "will you stick up by us who's while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered, "of course I will stick by you small folk through thin and through thick." The voice, "For almost 2 days you've run wild, insisted on chatting with persons who never existed. Such carrying on in peaceful jungle. We've had quite enough of your blowing bungle, and I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too." With the help of the Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham uncles and Wickersham cousins and Wickersham in-laws whose help engaged, you're going to be roped and you're going to be caged. And as for that speck of dust, we shall boil it in hot, steaming kettle of bezel nut oil. "Boil it?" Horton gasped. "Oh, that you can't do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you." Mr. Mayor," Horton called. "Mr. Mayor, you gotta prove now that you're really there. So call a big meeting. Get everyone out. Get every who to holler. Make every who shout. Make every who scream. If you don't, every who's gonna end up in bezelnut stew." And down on the speck of death, the scared little mayor called a big meeting in Whoville Squantier. And his people cried loudly. They cried out of fear, "We are here! We are here! We are here!" The elephant smiled. "That was clear as a bell. You kangaroos surely heard that very well." "All I heard," snapped the big kangaroo, "was a breeze and faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and neither did you." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me neither." "Grab him," they shouted, "and cage the big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knots so tight he'll never shake loose. Then dunk the dust breath and bezelnut juice." One thought would get vigor and vim, but the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into a cage. But he managed to call to the mayor, "Don't give up, I believe in you all. A person's a person no matter how small. If you very small persons will not have to die if you make yourselves heard. Now come on and try. The mayor grabbed the tom-tom. He started to smack it, and all over Whoville they wood up a racket. They rattled tin cans, they beat on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew on bazookas and blasted great tools on clarinets, oompas, boompas, and flutes. Great gusts of loud rackets high ring through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky, and the mayor caught up through the howling Matt who blew. "Hey, Horton, how's this? Is the sound coming through?" And Horton called back, "I can hear you fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't quite strong as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure your boys are doing the best? Are all making noise? Are you sure every who in Whoville is working? Quick, look through your town, make everything is working." Through the town rushed the mayor from east to west, but everyone seemed to be doing their best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping. Everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping. But it wasn't enough. All the rackets from Roy, he had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building, he searched for the floor, and as just he felt getting nowhere, he almost gave up in despair. He suddenly burst through the door, and the mayor discovered a circle, quite hidden away in the Furquhart's apartments. A very small worker named Jojo was standing and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp, and the mayor rushed inside and grabbed the young twerp. He climbed with the lad up the Eiffelberg Tower. "This," cried the mayor, "is your town's darkest hour, the time for all who have blood that is red to come into the aid of their country." He said, "We got to make noise in greater amounts, so open your mouth, lad, every voice counts." Thus he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his voice and shouted, "Yop!" And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from the speck on the clover, their voices were heard. They rang out loud and clear. The elephant smiled. "Do you see what I mean? They are proven they are persons, no matter how small, and the whole world's made by the smallest of them all." "How true!" "Yes, very true," said the big kangaroo. "And from now on, you know what I'm going to plan to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you." And the small kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too."